Hello everyone, welcome to Pushing Horizons. This is Ash, and on today's episode, I'm joined by somebody who has a totally unique background, who was not a runner, and now she's chasing Boston qualifying time. So please let me introduce you to Jill. Hey Jill, how are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to come to the show, and we're looking forward to hear your story. Before we start, can you please give a little bit of introduction about yourself?
Basically, I think I've been running seriously since about 2017. Kind of tried to run before that. Wasn't really successful. But before that, my background's really in gymnastics. I was a competitive gymnast. That was always my first love. Kind of transitioned from that. And I live in Florida, which makes running exceedingly hard, especially in the summer. Anything else you want to know, just let me know.
Yes, I know, because I lived in Florida too. I ran with Eric a few times. I was there for a few
Nice.
years, and summer is not fun. And then I moved to
No.
Phoenix, so it's not even worse. Thank you for that. So let's start with the running journey. First question, I'm really interested, or like everybody would be interested, saying that you are a gymnast and you transition from like being a gymnast to a running, and then to a BQ. So you went from struggling to run loops around your apartment to being minutes away from getting a BQ. I mean, while I was talking to you, you told me that. So, what was the reason that kept you going in those early days where you were transitioning from everything?
Yeah, so I actually didn't keep going like back then. So back when I was running around my apartment, I would just get ideas in my head that I should be better at running because I was a gymnast. There was always this idea that I should still be fit. So I'd kind of get inspired by who knows what and decided I'd try to run around my little apartment complex in northern New Jersey. And I couldn't make it more than like 3 times around. So I kind of go through little bouts of this where I try and do it for a little bit. But then I was also like back then I was in my 20s. I was working in Manhattan. I just had other priorities and kind of just would let it go for a while. But I knew like I didn't have good endurance and that was something I wanted to get better at. So when we moved to Florida, I definitely had more time down here and thought about getting better at it and just kind of all of a sudden one day decided like I want to train and run a turkey trot. I still was not really like a runner. I just thought that would be a cool challenge. 3.1 miles sounded insanely far to me. So that seemed like a huge thing. In fact, the turkey trot, the first one that I ran, I was actually like really amazed that they wanted us to park a half mile away and walk to the start because I didn't understand how people could possibly do that because we were already supposed to run 3 miles, like to walk a half mile on top of that before, that seemed crazy. So yeah, that was my first race and I had no idea how to pace or anything like that. And it was on Thanksgiving Day and I was pretty much dead, drained energy the rest of the day, could not move. But somehow that hooked me on it. So after that, just kind of got involved in a local pub run that was near me and met some people through that. And that's where kind of everything connected. I met more different running groups, met different people, and just the running community is kind of infectious. So I went from not really knowing what I was doing running, not really being a runner, to just joining groups and being in races and somehow caught the marathon bug and progressed from there.
I know that feeling, and also the turkey trots are hard because you eat so much, and it's not fun. So you talk about the pub runs. Is this around the Lake Eola area, or where was it? Because I knew some of the pub runs there.
Yeah, there was a local one by me, the one brewery, Bullfrog Brewery. So I started there, but then I met the She Runs Our Town group. I met them, which is where I met Erica. I just kind of connected from there, and then started meeting people in St. Pete and running with them, or getting to know them through the running groups and stuff. So just kind of grew.
Like I said, it's infectious and it's an addiction, that's what I call it, because we are not happy with one thing. If you do one marathon, then you're like, okay, now I need to get a better time. So that's what pushes us to and makes us more addicted towards it.
Well, and just meeting people too. It's like, you thought a 5K was hard and then you saw someone, they did a 10K. Oh, well, maybe I should try that too. And then like, it just progresses from there. Like it is, like you said, it's like an addiction because you hear somebody else did this and it's like, oh, well, maybe I should try that.
Yeah, I know that feeling because I was not a runner too. I only played ultimate frisbee and that's the only time I ran. But once I had the injury, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what it is. And then the progression run was what like hooked me up because that's all what I ran in my early days. And then I got a lot of injuries. So another interesting question would be, like you said you were a competitive gymnast. How did your background as a competitive gymnast shape the way you are approaching running now?
Definitely, it's the discipline and the consistency. of gymnastics that helps so much in running. I think those are kind of things a lot of people struggle with running, and those are things that were just embedded in me from gymnastics, and also just time management. Competitive gymnastics is a huge time commitment. You're in there tons of hours almost every day, even at a very young age. And my gym was actually an hour and a half away, so it wasn't close. So I had to learn how to prioritize and be able to fit everything in from a very young age. So that helps a lot with running, especially marathon running, when you have to fit in all the miles. Yeah, it kind of has that discipline and consistency just kind of already there.
You said hour and a half for the gymnastic from your home?
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in the country in Pennsylvania, so there was nothing really close to us.
That is true. And also, I think gymnastics is hard as a competition itself. You said you love training more than racing. So what is it about this thing that keeps you hooked up? Because most of us kind of like racing, because I like racing than more training, because the atmosphere is nice and you can see how far you have progressed. So what is the difference with you?
Yeah, I like the daily routine of it all. I think that kind of goes back to gymnastics too. I like having, the routine every day of what I'm doing, and I like working on little goals to get to the big goals, and that's kind of how my training is set up. So there's little things to accomplish on the way to that big race. I don't know. It's also something I feel like I can fully control. Race morning, you might not get the best weather, you might not get whatever, but every morning I go out, it's my run. I get to control what I do with that, and that's the thing I do for me every day before anything else happens that day, whether it's work stuff, life stuff, whatever. So I just kind of like that every day knowing I have that.
That kind of makes sense, because it's your routine, so you have more control than the rest day, because anything can happen. You can have a back stomach or something, so
right.
It did not go as. So moving on to your marathon progression and goals, you went from 5:25 to a 3 hours and 40 minutes PR. So during this time, what has been the biggest change in your training and mindset between those two marathons?
I think I just got way more focused. So I did train for my first marathon. It's not like I just went in there on a whim or anything, but I didn't really know much about running or training strategies. I did the miles, but I didn't know anything about different types of runs. I really just wanted to finish it. And at this point, I basically, if there's something about running out there, I want to get my hands on it and read it and analyze it, and just, any kind of different training plans. I worked with a coach. I talked to others who train, for similar things like I'm doing. So I think it was just getting really, really focused in on trying to just chip away at that time. And it wasn't necessarily a big breakthrough. I mean, I've been chipping away at this time for a couple of years now at this point. And I think it's also just a determination element there too. The first marathon, I just wanted to finish. And actually I think about the last mile, I swore I would never ever run another one. But then I think about 10 minutes after I finished, I knew I would, and I knew I was hooked, and this was going to be a thing. So now at this point, I'm just kind of determined to keep learning and improving and seeing how far I can go with it. Hopefully Boston qualify if I'm this close, and hopefully, who knows, maybe faster. And I don't know. It's just kind of become a part of who I am to kind of just keep pushing it and see what I can do.
I mean, that's a traditional runner mindset, when you're running, you're struggling and you're I hate this, I'm not gonna do it. But as soon as we're done, right, we're looking for another marathon and trying to see, oh look, I want to do it again.
Right.
It's we all want this hard feeling that we all go through during the running. And when we're talking about this Boston qualifier, you were only 5 minutes away from BQ. What are you doing differently to close this gap? And also, why BQ? Why not any other race? Or why is it so special to you?
It just became a goal because that's the big goal with marathons. That one you have to qualify into. Everything else, there's lotteries and things like that you can get in with some of the big races. But Boston, I mean, I know there's charity, but there's always been that lure of Boston that you want to qualify in. So I just kind of, once I learned about it, I thought, wow, that'd be really cool to do someday. I've kind of been, it's not anything real crazy sounding. I've just been chipping away because I think that's kind of my method and how I do things anyway. I'm just going to keep working harder and chip away at things and chip away at the time. Right now I'm actually injured, so right now the plan is to just be patient and heal my leg. Not something I'm very good at. But yeah, once I can run again, it's really just kind of chipping away at the time. Even once I get the time, it's not going to be enough to get into Boston because you actually have to beat it by probably 5 to 7 minutes at this point. So I'll just keep working. It's something that's going to happen eventually if I just keep training and working for it.
Have you been anything different than the last time you did 340, apart from the injury thing, which we can get back into? But since you did the 340 and the things you're trying now or before injury, were there anything different from?
340 was in Houston, so that was just in January. So the injury was pretty much right after that. And that's actually probably because I came back a little too fast. I think probably the thing I should do differently is do take recovery really seriously, but take it even more seriously because from gymnastics, I'm a perfectionist. If it says I'm supposed to do something on a plan, I want to do that no matter what. And I think sometimes you have to listen to your body and understand, okay, maybe the thing for me to do today is like, especially now that I'm cross training, I'm learning like the ellipticals better or things like that. Maybe take a day off that you're not planning on taking off. It's not going to like totally crush your training. It's probably actually better for your training. Yeah, it's actually not a training harder thing. It's probably a training smarter and even resting more.
I agree. I was talking to Val on the first episode, and then she told me that she only runs 3 times a week, and then she does the swimming, and then she does ellipticals. And now I have also made it into my routine that, like you, I used to always run and try to do better and everything, and rest and everything. It doesn't matter because I sometimes ran like a whole week while going to the marathon training. So now I'm trying to do what you just said, like train smart, legs more recovery, so that way I'm not more prone to injury and move on. And I think it helps with cross training.
But it's hard. It's like logically you think to get better at running you should be running more, but not always the case.
No, and elliptical is so boring and it's so hard to, it's like, I did like 40 minutes on Thursday and I was like, I don't know how I did it. It's so boring. It's tough. It's tough. Yes. You said New York is your favorite race, but you always fun run it. What is the reason it's so special?
So New York, it's just, the race itself is just incredible. Like New York holds a special place in my heart. That was my biggest dream from a kid, was I wanted to live and work in New York. And I did. I lived there for 9 years and worked in Manhattan. Eventually realized that I would like to afford things. So that's why we moved to Florida. I just love the city, and the race itself is just, there's nothing like it. I haven't run the other majors yet, so I know I'm speaking without knowing those, but I still don't think you can compare to the energy in New York. There's crowds like 8-10 people deep. There's kids everywhere with their hands out, so you high-five them the whole way through. People with signs, and then it's the whole way through. I mean, there are 5 waves in New York, and the crowds are there the entire time, from the elites to the very last person, basically. There's just people out there. And it's just loud, it's crazy. If you wear your name on your shirt, because it's not actually on your bib in New York, but if you put your name somewhere on your shirt, they will scream at you as if you were their long lost relative. You hear your name from thousands of people throughout the race. It's just, it's crazy. It's so fun. It's so just incredible. And then also the stories, because there's so many. New York has a big charity part aspect, and even just not the charity aspect too. You just see people with inspiring stories, things on their shirts or their flags or signs, and just talking to people. Even you hear why they're running it, why it's important to them. And it's just, there's so many inspiring things. There's the Achilles athletes running. Just, that's the other thing about New York too. You can't ever, even when it's hard, you'll be kind of in your little pity party of now it's got really hard, it's mile 20, whatever. And then you look next to you and there's someone going backward on a wheelchair up the hill. And it's oh, okay, all right, it's not that hard for me. I can push through this. It's just, there's so many different things in this race that are just incredible. And I always fun run it now because the first year I ran it was 2022, and I was just so ecstatic to be there. I just took it all in. I actually was supposed to run it in 2020, and then with COVID and everything, that obviously didn't happen. So I was just so happy to finally get to do it and had a smile on my face the whole time. And then the next year, I feel like I made the mistake of having a goal race time, and I think it took away from the experience. One, New York is a really tough course anyway. It's really hard with all the bridges, and I got really focused on that race time, and I was trying to run tangents, which is kind of ridiculous in that race because it's huge and there's so many people. I missed out on enjoying some of the race and some of the cheering and that stuff. So I kind of made a pact with myself after that. First of all, I will run New York any chance I get, whether it's lottery, charity, whatever. And I just decided from then on out, I don't ever want to miss the joy of this and get so focused in on racing it that I miss that. So last year I ran it as a training run for the Houston Marathon. So I didn't run an easy pace, but I ran a steady state run, which was 40 seconds slower than my planned pace for Houston. And that was perfect. I didn't just chill the whole way through, but it was enough to be able to enjoy everything. My goal was to hit every kid's hand that had him out for a high five, just have a blast the whole way through. And I didn't have to worry if I got the pace a little bit or something. I didn't get in my head about any of that because I just did it for fun. And it's also New York, so it's nice the next day when you can still walk around, because it is New York and you do a lot of walking. And the time that I raced it, I couldn't really walk that much the next day. So
I know what you're talking about. I've never ran New York, but I've been there, and it looks harder course looking at the route and everything. So well done for
Yeah, the bridges make it hard.
Yeah, and also I agree with what you said that we tend to be so more focused on having this goal, and I think that was one of my mistakes when I done the Berlin Marathon, because I wanted to get this time, so I was so focused and I didn't enjoy around what is there and how people are cheering, because I was just super focused and just trying to run and just put my head down and etc. So I think we need to enjoy it. That's what is missing, because most of us want to get that goal. Sometimes it's okay, but I think we also need to enjoy. Just love running, and not put yourself so down sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I save New York as kind of like my celebration every year, because it's a celebration of running. Even before the race, everybody gets, their jackets or whatever from the expo, and then just locals will come up to you and just like, oh, are you running? Oh, good luck. It's just cool. I don't ever want to like get too focused on the goal with that one, because I just want to always enjoy that. Like I said, it's like a celebration of running.
That's a nice thing what you're doing. And I think it helps yourself too, because if you don't have that pressure, then you just go and enjoy it rather than being so focused on trying to get a good time.
Yeah.
And now we're in a little bit sensitive topic, because we runners are like kind of stubborn, and myself included, because I have had so many injuries when I started running 2017, like from stress fracture to ITB, Achilles injuries, everything. Like I have everything. There's nothing I don't have. So you said right now you're dealing with the shin splints and then the Achilles injury as well, or what is it?
Kind of, yeah. Posterior tibial tendonitis. It comes up like the inner side of the ankle and like actually on the bottom of your arch too. So I kind of had that training through Houston. I knew like my feet were throbbing, especially the one after like all the long runs and hard runs, and like I knew that wasn't good. Then you taper and it's like, okay, it's getting better. But even during the marathon, I felt it. But basically, that put pressure, that put stress on all the muscles on the side of my shin bone, so like all those calf muscles there, and that led to MTSS, which is essentially shin splints, which is not what I thought shin splints felt like. But that was pretty much my last major running injury that I didn't have on my bingo card yet. So I mean, I checked them all off now. So but yeah, the recovery, it's going. But there are days where you feel like you make a lot of progress, and then there are days where like I feel something and I'm like, oh, now we're going backward, and I get frustrated. But I'm told that's normal. Like my doctor keeps saying, like it's not progress. This isn't linear. Like you're gonna have good days and bad days. It's still recovering. It's still getting better. It's just not gonna be every day you feel like something great is happening.
Shin splints are very close to stress fracture, because when I had that stress fracture, I thought, oh, it's a shin splint, and I keep running, and then my leg was so like this big, and I finished the race like stupid I am. But yeah, it hurts bad when you have that stress fracture. I think which will come back in the later question. You have worked through so many of running injuries. So what is your approach to preventing this and then cross training?
I take recovery, like I said, I know there's certain things I need to like mixing and cross training more, but for the most part, I take recovery really seriously, especially when I'm doing like all the miles for marathon training. I have a ton of different recovery tools and use like multiple ones daily. Sleep is really big to me. I am not a good sleeper. So like people that know me know that I will try to go to bed at 8 o'clock, because that's the only way I might have a chance at getting like 7.5 hours of sleep, because I don't just fall asleep and I don't just stay asleep. But focusing on that and just being really diligent about that, the recovery stuff, because sometimes I really don't want to do that after work, but I have to. But I also believe most running injuries are from like imbalances. So once I know there's an issue with something, I'll like look up, or I'll even go to like the physical therapist and see like what can I be doing to strengthen like whatever's imbalanced here. And so by doing that, I think I've been able to work through a bunch of these injuries and like keep running. They haven't actually totally stopped me from training. Like I had IT band stuff, I had runner's knees, things like that, but I never actually had to stop through those. I just kind of had to manage it.
I agree. I think most of the injuries, I think all the IT bands are because of the imbalance too.
Yeah.
Talking about therapies, I think I need to go to the PT and try to see. I have not done that, because I talked to Milton as well, and he also kind of suggested, because his one leg was hurting as well, and I also have the same scenario where only my left leg is having issues and right leg is fine. So I always, all the injuries I got is on my left leg. Talking through experience, when you are injured, it's so frustrating, You see all these people in social media running and posting their runs and stuff like that, and mentally it doesn't help. It's very frustrating, because you want to run but you can't, then you're bummed. How do you handle this frustration that you have when you can't run?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. The first thing I did this time around was I realized I had to get off Strava a little bit, because just seeing everyone running and it's like I can't do anything. And especially the beginning of like an injury that actually takes you off running. Like I hate that first week or so where you're trying to figure out what is even going on. And so you don't know how long and there's not even like any kind of plan in place. So for that, I actually just stopped looking at Strava and some of the Instagram stuff because it was just too hard and it was too much reminding me that I couldn't do anything. But you know, at this point, I think just you have good days and you have bad days. And most days I just stay focused on like what I can do, what cross training. And I'm very, like, I like my plans. So I have a plan and I stick with that. Like today I'm doing the elliptical, tomorrow I'm doing whatever. But I think this time around too, I'm just kind of allowing that frustration. Yesterday or the day before, like was kind of a down day for me. And I was again kind of frustrated because I thought at this point I thought I'd be running by now and my leg is not there. But I think it's okay to just sometimes let yourself, and sometimes better to let yourself feel that for a little bit, as long as you don't get stuck there. Give yourself a day to just have that feeling and then move on the next day and get back to cross training, whatever else you're doing.
Yes, I know that feeling. I think we all can agree to this. We can all share the same sentiment because it's hard for all of us. And I don't even go on Instagram. Even when I'm injured, then I don't care. And I don't even look at Strava. I just like, nope, thanks. I don't need this.
Yeah.
You also said you had stress fracture in 2022. With that injury, I know it's a hard one because I had it. I can relate to the injury. So what did you experience teach you about training smarter from this injury?
So that one was actually, we think, because of a vitamin D deficiency. It's kind of crazy because I actually drink a ton of milk and I live in Florida, which is very sunny and vitamin D. But I actually just like take a supplement now and everything seemed to be good. So there wasn't a ton to learn about that one. Like I don't think my doctor said he didn't think I came back too fast or anything like that. It was more just a vitamin D deficiency led to a stress fracture in my foot. But at least with this injury, this current one with the muscles and stuff, that one I definitely learned I need more recovery after a marathon. And I know that, and it's something I've been told. But, you just get back. I like the patterns, I like the routines, and I just wanted to get back to that. And I don't even think it was the runs necessarily that I was doing. It was just I jumped into really hard stuff, too intense training, too fast. And it was a really intense year too. And I think that would have required more time to come back from because I did like 4 marathons last year, 3 of which that I actually raced. What I've learned from this one is just take more time to come back. That way you can come back fully and not end up, in the condition I'm in right now.
By the way, how long is your recovery? Like how long do you need to get back to running?
I don't actually know. So the thing about shin splints too is you read all different things. Like you could read 2 weeks, you could read 2 months. Right now I'm hoping within the next week or 2 I might be able to run again. I'm really close. I can do walking doesn't hurt, jumping back and forth doesn't hurt. It's just when I stand on the one leg and try to jump, it's definitely I can feel it. Running is essentially jumping off one leg, so can't do that yet. Getting there.
Also, when I had the stress fracture and shin split, I had this PTSD whenever I went back to run again, and as soon as there was this little bit of pain, then I was like, oh my god, it's not recovered yet. So do you have that yet? Is it just a PTSD or have you not recovered yet?
So yeah, I'm not recovered yet on this one to have that, but with the stress fracture in the foot, I had that all the time. Like any little pain, I think I called the doctor like I don't know how many times because I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this. And he's like, you're fine. You're good. It's not coming back. I'm like, you get paranoid. You get like, I don't want to go through that again.
At least you're doing that, so that's good. And hopefully you can recover faster because it's not fun just staying there and then not be able to run. Yeah,
and you can try to convince yourself the elliptical is fun, but it's really not.
It's not. Because I do that twice a week now because I want to reduce the time I'm on my foot so that I can recover faster and I can do my harder runs much harder and stuff like that. So, and I have to do it tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to do it. It sucks.
It does.
Now, moving on to the training and your races and things. So, while you were training, you said you were running 50 to 70 mile range for the marathon. So, what's a peak training week looks like for you?
For marathons, a peak week, I think I got up to like 73 miles last time, somewhere in there. And it would be 8 runs a week, running 6 days a week. So there's 2 days where I would run in the doubles. I would run a little bit in the afternoon too. I do long runs on Sundays. That's kind of my long run day always. Monday is a rest day. And then Thursdays are when I do like a speed workout. It's a lot of running.
So will you change this now because of whatever happened and then now talking about this cross training and elliptical thing? Or Are you going to stick with the same pattern?
I don't want to because I love all that. But yeah, I think at this point, I don't think I changed the plan. I think I just have to be more open to if I'm really like the legs are really heavy or something, like maybe that's the day I do an elliptical instead of that afternoon run or something. That's what I think I need to be more open to. I'm not going to like concretely change a plan, but I think I need to be more open to maybe I need to take, or maybe even just like full rest day, or maybe one of those runs is an elliptical, something like that. Be a little more lenient with that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that's probably smarter now. Because I feel like once we get injured, then it kind of happens unless you take care of yourself. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
Like you said, being a gymnast, like everything needs to be structured. So when you're running this marathon, do you have that same way? Like everything needs to be this.
I thrive on that. That's just how I'm wired. So I really like very detailed plans. My friends know I keep my plans in Excel spreadsheets, and they are color coded, and and then I analyze them and I look back on old plans, and that's just how I work. But like I said, I mean, I think I need to learn that you can have that. I heard a great line that a marathon plan should be written in pencil. And I think that's something I need to work on a little bit more next time around, because I get really stuck in like, okay, I'm supposed to do this many miles today, or I'm supposed to do this workout today. And I do that like no matter what, even if maybe it's not the best thing for me based on how I'm feeling or how, the weather is, because and then the winter, Florida could throw us like a weird, crazy hot day. And maybe like I shouldn't be hitting those paces in that heat, that kind of thing. Like I think I need to be a little bit maybe less structured than I have been, or adjust more, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great line. Whoever said that marathon training written in a pencil, that's a great line. I think it should be that way, because you have to sometimes just change based on whatever the circumstance may be. When you are training for the marathon, what is the most thing that you look forward to, and what is the least favorite thing that you don't like to do?
So as far as workouts, I like anything with intervals, anything where I know there's like a light at the end of the tunnel. So like mile repeats, something like that, where I know like I just have to hold this pace. Like I know it's hard, but I can hold it for this long, and then there's like a recovery period. That stuff I do really well with. On the flip side, I do not do well with like tempos. I get in my head about that because you have to hold it for so long and there isn't like that break in between. So anything like that, or like if in a marathon training plan, like holding marathon pace for however many miles, I get anxiety about that, thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Like that's so hard. And then you get more anxiety thinking, okay, well, if I can't do it for that many miles, how am I going to do it for a whole marathon?
Yeah, I think I enjoy both, because tempo just to see how far I have come, because if I can hold this for this long, then at least I get this mental thing that, okay, my training plan is working. So,
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, because tempo is just about holding, it's not about, you don't have to go too fast, you don't have to go too slow, you just hit that right spot, and it's just about how you feel and how the training has come out. That's how I look at it. That way, I don't want to go faster. I just want to just be here, and it kind of helped me that way. You do a lot of marathons and you do a lot of trainings. Do you fuel differently for a training versus a race? And what have you learned about the nutrition over there? Because a lot of us kind of have different opinions about different things. And is there any certain gels you use, race and a marathon?
I don't really do anything differently for training than race day. Like I like to use my long runs as kind of practice for race day. I do like the same breakfast before that I would before a race. I do the same gels and hydration. If I can find out usually what hydration they're going to have on the course, I train with that. So whether it's like Gatorade Endurance or Powerade or Noon or whatever it is. So that is pretty much kind of the same as race day, so I know what to expect. And I think a big thing about that too is not just to see if things agree with you, but like also to make sure you've trained your stomach to get used to it. So that's why I like to find out what the race is actually serving. But I've gotten into Morton. I really didn't want to because it is expensive, and I really knew I knew once I got hooked on this, there goes the money. But it's just, they're so easy to take, and I don't like the really fruity, sticky gels. Like I actually have a pretty strong stomach. Like it's not that my stomach won't take it. I just don't like that, especially when I'm running and it's hot. So I did pretty well with Huma gels. I don't know if you're familiar with those. Did that for a while, up until I think the past year, but then I discovered Morton, and that just is so much easier. And I will say, don't take the two of them together, because that was the one time my stomach did not do well. They do not mix well. Commit either to one or the other. At this point, I'm kind of hooked on Morton and throwing all my money into that now. So
yeah, it's so expensive. It's like €3 for one here in Germany.
Yeah.
I tried Huma, but Huma didn't work for me. Mortin also doesn't work for me. I don't know, for some reason. The only gel that works for me is the Cis. So there is a beta and there is one with the electrolyte on it. It's really light. It's like a jelly. and you don't need water to drink with it, so you just kind of take that. It's like liquid enough to go in, and that has really worked for me. I don't know if you can get it there, but it's something cheaper. It's not expensive.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah,
it's not expensive as Motin. But here a lot of people use Motin, but it has never worked for me.
That's the funny thing with gels too. It's so specific to each person. Like, it's just some people love one and other people can't like stand it. Like, it's just very dependent on your preference and stuff.
Yeah, and I tried everything because I was in US for so long. So I tried Huma, I tried the Goo. That didn't work too. The only time I felt that working was when I did the 10K. And the caffeine that just hit me. That was the only time I felt that. But I tried to replicate that in the next race and it didn't happen, so I don't know. I was like, I need that boost, please give it to me, but it didn't happen. Before we move to the funnier topic, are you a Garmin or Apple user?
Garmin.
And what is your preferred running shoes?
So I have a whole bunch that I rotate, but I think my favorite are the Nova Blast 5. I just really like the Nova Blast. I did not like the 4s. I liked the 3s, did not like the 4s, but the 5s are pretty cool.
Do you also wear a heart rate strap or you go with the wrist one?
No, I just go with the wrist one, and I get so like in my head with that one because sometimes, especially in Florida, like I don't know if it's completely right all the time, so I try not to focus on that as much.
Do you train with the heart rate or power?
So I focus on heart rate with like easy runs. I try to keep it below a certain place. That's where I'm kind of like learning now that I've been injured and having more time to read stuff. I kind of want to look at power more and maybe go that route instead.
I do train with power. I mean, I started for this Berlin Marathon coming up next, so I find it very interesting because I talked with few people about it and then I read about it, and it's pretty much true because it's based on how much energy you are generating while you're running. And I've been watching it when I run on my slower runs and when I do hills. So when I do easy pace, then it kind of is low on zone 1, and when I'm trying to push it a little bit, then it's on zone 2, and then when I go hills, then I usually always notice that there's a spike of energy because on hills you need more energy than when you're running on a flat road. So it's very interesting. It could help. And also I don't like heart rate because it varies on the temperature and it varies where you run and elevation and everything, because it just all over fluctuates a lot. So I was like, okay, I need to try this, and I've been looking at it since last year. So now I finally started doing it for this training block. I'm just focusing on running to the power zones.
I think it's more like with Florida that kind of appeals to me because we're about to get into the summer weather again here, and it's just so discouraging with the heart rate because it's going to spike because it gets ridiculously hot, and I think the power zone would be a little more helpful for me to know how hard I'm actually working at it. And
yes, it's going to be same, constant. It doesn't depend upon the climate or anything because it will be depending on how much energy you are generating through your runs. I don't know, might help for you too. Yeah, I will let you know once I do the Berlin Marathon or how it goes and if it works or not. Going back to something interesting, because when I was talking to you, you said that you were afraid of getting lost on your first 5K. Have you ever actually gotten lost during a race?
Thankfully, I have not. No, but that was not even just the first race. I think like the first year or several years. I just really was so afraid because I don't know. I just thought I was going to get lost. Or I don't know if you know the show Modern Family. There was an episode of Modern Family where like the woman cut the course and she didn't know she did and she thought she won. Like I just thought something like that was going to happen where I just like totally took a wrong turn and but thankfully, no, that has not happened. There were several confusing courses, but I didn't actually go the wrong way, thankfully.
And also your ant story is very, very fascinating. So if that actually didn't happen to you, would you be more inclined to do the trail running?
I'm not like, I still like I never really thought I was going to be a trail runner, but I was willing to give it a shot. And like the first time I did, I kind of got swarmed, as you know, by like 100 ants, fire ants in Florida. They just out of nowhere, like I didn't step in anything to my knowledge, they attacked and swarmed up my legs and bit through my compression socks that I was wearing at the time, and I eventually passed out from it because I think apparently I'm allergic, or else just that's what happens when you get bit by 100 fire ants. Had that not happened, I'd probably try it again. I think it's also living in Florida. I don't like bugs, and it's really steamy on the trails here, and there's a lot of animals that I don't want to encounter, like alligators and bears and snakes and panthers even, and I don't really want to meet them. So I think probably if I lived somewhere else, maybe I'd be more, it'd be more appealing to me, but I'm not a trail person. I don't think it's ever going to work out here for me.
Okay. Yeah, I know the fire ants. It hurts and it stings when they bite you because
Yeah.
I've felt that a few times. Yeah, and I'm sorry that happened to you because that's not fun.
Yeah, I didn't even get to do the run. It was like we were taking a picture in the parking lot before the run. Like I was with a group of women running, and then all of a sudden, so
When you told me the story, I thought it happened during a run, so it's even more weird because it happened before a run, and when you
yeah, before the run.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny now.
And we
when you-
looked, and there was nothing I stepped in. I have no idea. There was nothing on my skin. Like I didn't drown myself in syrup or something. Like they somehow found me.
That's so bad because now you look at it and you can laugh at it, but I'm sorry you went through that because it's not fun. The stings are it's different.
Yeah, and then they're really, really itchy for like 2 weeks, and it's just miserable.
Yeah, I cannot imagine getting bitten by 100 ants and then like passing out and then yeah, I don't have to deal with. There's nothing like such thing here, so I'm happy about it because I don't want to feel that. And also, like, what is the most ridiculous and unexpected thing that happened to you in the race apart from this incident? Has there been any other things that has happened to you?
I guess kind of more on the unexpected ridiculous, yeah. So I signed up for this half marathon that was like on the other side of Florida, and it touted itself. The big deal with this was that you were going to get this professional racing experience. You were going to be treated like a pro racer. It was actually on like this car racing track, like Formula One track, and that was a big draw to it too. So you would start on that, and then there was more to the race, obviously, but you would start with that. Anyway, the whole big thing about this was like, it's a professional race experience. That was their big thing. So when we got to this race, you actually had to drive off the road, kind of like over a ditch, into an unmowed field as the parking lot. And there were like no lights, and it was completely dark outside. And there was just one light over top of where you started. We waited around at the start. So, I mean, not really like the professional experience, so far. We waited at the start, and I think they delayed that at one point too, like by I don't know how many minutes. There wasn't like a whole lot of direction. Again, definitely not that pro experience. But the greatest part of this race was that once we did start, I think about like maybe 5 minutes in, right as we were getting over to the racetrack part, all of a sudden you saw people stop and turn around, and they restarted us. Like they called us all back, and we had to restart the race. Like, yeah. Apparently whoever was supposed to start the official timer didn't do so. So that was just like, that has never happened in any other race to me. Like we completely restarted the race. And what was even funnier is that this whole point of this race, like their whole big thing was it's a professional experience, which obviously it was not. But yeah, that was kind of crazy.
Was it in Daytona or somewhere else? The race you mean?
It was in Sebring.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I only know the Daytona.
It's like more south.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird because why would they restart it?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently they didn't have the right time, but at that point, I mean, I think you just gotta let people run. But
yeah,
they kind of decided like maybe we don't do this race anymore. I think they had it like the following year, and then that was it because a lot of people were not happy.
No, I think it's just bad vibe once that happens. Unless you dramatically improve in the next event, I wouldn't want to go back to that and feel the same thing again.
Yeah, no.
Earlier we talked about running and then talked about the people, and you said you did a lot of pub runs and you met like different people like Erika, like we both know together. You said that you love that running, how it brings like people from all the places and ability together. How has the running community impacted your journey?
I think hugely. I don't think I'd be anywhere near where I'm at without the running community. Like I said, I kind of got started into this by going to a pub run and met people from there, and then, got into a different running group, and then I keep meeting other running groups through that. It's kind of inspiring and motivating everybody you meet, because then you go to races and you see people doing these incredible things or achieving these goals, and then, like I said before, like then you want to do that kind of stuff. So it just kind of escalates. Like I went from, that turkey trot to now I run marathons. Like that's all because of the running community. I might have gotten crazy ideas in my head like that, but you get the energy and like the motivation to do it from the running community. And I just like meeting other people and hearing their stories and stuff like that. Like I actually don't really like running in groups as much as I say like the running community. I like running on my own. I don't like running with people. I just like doing my own thing. But even that, it doesn't mean you're not part of the running community. Like you can hang out afterward, you can talk, you can I love the ones where there's coffee afterward. I don't know. It's so motivating meeting other people, and that just kind of pushes you further into your running journey.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like you because I also want to train alone, and I like to run with people, but that doesn't mean that I always want to run with them. Like some runs are okay, but I like to be on my own headspace when I'm doing that. So you talked about all these running communities and people from different background and everybody running, and then like seeing their progress or like how they are doing, like inspiring stuff. So who in the running world inspires you the most and why?
So I thought, I don't really think I have a specific person. I think the really cool thing about running is that anyone and everyone can inspire you if you're open to that. Like, I know people who are really fast. One who even competed in Olympic trials. And I'm so inspired by them, and that motivates me to work harder and try to get as fast as I can get. But I also have friends who are slower paces than me, but they've overcome injuries or health concerns or have really demanding jobs and still can get the miles in, or other stuff happening in their lives that just makes it more challenging. And I find that incredibly inspiring. So I think the really cool thing is that you can like learn and be inspired by almost everyone, because everyone has a story. So I don't know. I can't pinpoint like one person. I think a lot of people are really inspiring to me.
We're going to go back to this experience where we're looking back at ourselves in our running journey. So you said you first when you did running and racing, the first thing you ever did was that 2017 Turkey Trot. If you look at now, we have to go and give back one piece of advice to Jill, then what would that be?
I mean, maybe just start saving now for races, because like you're gonna get hooked on this, and marathons are not cheap, and there aren't many in Florida, so just be prepared for the ride. Because if I thought the Turkey Trot was hard, it's gonna get a lot harder, but also a lot more awesome too.
True, it's incredible because it's like it's so cheap. You just need a shoes, but
yeah, right now. No, I'll tell that to my bank account.
Yeah. And also, like, while in this journey, you may have noticed something you did. If there is somebody running a marathon right now, so based on what you have felt in your journey so far, what's that one mistake that you may see that a new marathoner might do it, and how can they avoid it?
Especially first marathon, I think my advice is to not have a time goal. Like, you can have an idea, but the marathon is an entirely different animal. It's not like even a half, it's a lot different. So anything can happen in those 26 miles or 42 kilometers. Just be willing to adapt to that, be able to adapt. Like, that's, I think, my advice to any marathoner. Like, it's great if it goes your way, but it's probably not, in my experience. I've done 9 of them and nothing has been perfectly how I want it. So just, you got to be willing to adapt and able to adapt when you get to that part that's not going so well, and not just totally get frustrated or lose it. You just have to kind of, all right, this is what I'm doing now. This is the next step then. Even if there are marathons I have made it, or I've played the let's make it 2 game, like let's make it to the next mile. Let's make it to the next aid station. Like sometimes that's that adapting, like that's where you're at, and it's maybe not what you planned for. Maybe it happened way earlier in the race than you were planning, but just being able to accept that and take it from there.
Great advice. This is probably a little bit different. You are chasing this BQ, and then you probably know this too, and there are a lot of other runners who are in the same boat as you, where they are so close yet so far, because the time every year keeps chopping away, right? You need more and more and more. So like, what would be that one piece of advice that would give to anyone who's struggling to break that time?
Not losing sight, I think, of the why, and that this is for fun. You have that goal, and I have that goal, but it's also something I remind myself of, that I'm doing this for fun, and I don't control every aspect, so it might not happen even if I work really hard, and to just keep working hard. You don't control the time, you don't control the weather, you don't control so many things. You can control how hard you're working. So as long as, you do the workouts, you train smartly, you keep doing that stuff, you will progress. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get the time you want, because there's other things that can affect that, but you will keep progressing. So that's kind of what I try to focus on. And again, like I said, just keep chipping away at the time that way. And if it happens on the next marathon, great. And if it doesn't, I'm going to keep working for it. But also kind of not getting just too hyper focused on that goal, because sometimes you lose track of the fact that this is supposed to be fun. Like, we're not professionals, we're not getting paid for this, we pay to do this, so it's still supposed to be fun.
Well said. And also a few more questions. We talked about running this marathon, and then obviously you want to run this BQ, and because you want to do this, but is there a dream marathon that you want to do, or a race that you have not done yet?
There's a lot that I want to do, yeah. But I mean, first of all, I will do New York as long as I can possibly do New York. I know I've done it, but that's still always a dream. It's incredible. But I'd love to do, I think Berlin is probably the first international one I'd like to do. I just hear so many good things about it. And I'd like to do London. I have to do Chicago at some point. I like the big city races. Like, I tend to like city races over, like the country or trail or anything like that. So anything with big crowds. Yeah, there's a whole bunch I want to do. Right now I'm trying to look for flat and fast and good weather. So that eliminates some of the hilly ones and stuff. But
yeah, so that is Berlin and that is Chicago.
Yeah.
Because those are the two flattest out of all the marathons that we have here. So and then in the world, I think these two are where you get the BQs probably. I think if you run Berlin, then you can probably get it because there is no hill at all, so it's quite flat.
Yeah, I've heard that.
What's next for you in your running journey? I don't think we covered that. So is there any marathons that you're doing this year or looking forward to?
Yeah, so before the injury, I was supposed to do the Buffalo Marathon, which is at the end of May. Right now, I'm hoping to do the half and hopefully be able to train for it and hopefully get a PR at that, because I haven't run a half since, I think it's been a little bit over a year. Hopefully be able to do that. And then I am running New York. I'm running for a charity team for kids in November. And we'll probably use that one as a training run again. I don't know kind of have in my head I might want to do Houston again in January, but I'm not sure on that yet. But there will be some other one probably January, February of next year.
The last question would be, and I would like to finish this sentence, running has changed my life because?
I think because it opened a whole new world. It take my joy of fitness and challenge myself while I get to meet other people who are doing the same stuff and see different cities and see cities different ways than I wouldn't. Yeah, I think it's just opened a whole new world to me.
End of the questions that I have for you for today, and it was great talking to you, and thank you, Erika, for suggesting this to do so. And I am really glad we did this, and I think there is a lot of good points from here that other people can look at it and then hopefully be inspired by your journey and your perseverance from all the injuries that you have and your dealing and how you are fighting it head on. So thank you for coming onto the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was cool. This was pretty fun.
Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this conversation. I'll see you again next time with another guest. Until then, happy running.